before MS, I worked in television broadcasting. I traveled extensively. I led a very, 16-hour day kind of life, hard charging, and pursued the career I wanted in life from the time I was in high school and through college, and got to travel the world doing what I loved. So it was amazing. It was simply amazing. I was very lucky and very blessed as far as the career goes and as far as life before MS. I got diagnosed about 2006. My son at the time was 3 years old. And when I got diagnosed with MS, I could actually go back another 10 years and weird things that happened started to make sense. And it wasn't until I moved to Florida that I had another episode. And this time I was lucky enough to have a doctor who referred me to a neurologist who then diagnosed me. And my wife at the time had her girls were all dressed up. Dinner table was set for like a formal dining experience, and it wasn't my birthday and I wasn't sure what was going on. And we had dinner and everybody's acting overly kind towards me. And then my wife at the time said, I need to talk to you. So now I'm thinking, well, this could be very interesting one way or the other. But anyway, she said, the doctor's called with the results of your test and you have multiple sclerosis. And my first words, I'll remember this very clearly, is, well, how long do I have to live? Because I felt at that time in my life that I was okay with that ending. If that's the way it ended, I'm okay with it. I've lived a good, blessed life. I'm happy. And then I made the mistake of Googling multiple sclerosis. And why I say it's a mistake is because immediately you get on some of these chat groups, or it wasn't even chat groups back then, but it was, hey, you're gonna love being in a wheelchair. Don't fight it. And I was like, I don't want to be in a wheelchair. It's the last thing I want to do. And so that's when I found out. Prior to the 6 years where I stopped walking entirely, my gait would just get progressively worse, especially here in the heat of Florida, and I'd have exasperations. So I started doing these steroids, the prednisone IV treatments, and it was about maybe once every 6 months it would happen, and then it would become once every 4 months, and then it got to almost be once every 3 months. And so it became challenging, it was difficult, but I was still walking. I got so weak in my left leg that walking became just too difficult, and being in a scooter became so much easier. And suddenly that light went on. It's like, you know what, maybe this isn't so bad, So it was humbling. I fought it, like I didn't want to use any assistive devices at all. It was just, to me, it was a stigma that I attached to myself, that, oh my God, how, people looking at me like I'm disabled. Well, you are disabled, so. But it was hard to accept that. And so I started taking Copaxone, and it helped to some extent because my exasperations became less, but I still felt cloudy. My mind, I was forgetful. There's a lot of things about, the mental state, just feeling like there's a cloud around you all the time. So with the Copaxone not working, I started looking at other alternatives, and I received an email from somebody indicating that there was a new trial in Tampa for a drug that had really significant success with MS. So I got accepted in the trial, and that was 7 years ago. And the drug was alemtuzumab at first. Now it's commercially known as Lemtrada. And my exasperations became less frequent, but I still had them. And so I stayed in the trial. My MS and the lesions never progressed, and so that was a good thing. And so I stayed in the trial, but then I ultimately had an exasperation of an intensity I've never had before. And it was time to start looking at something else. So with Stemedix, I contacted them, by phone, and was given a really thorough explanation of what the process was and what the expectations could be, and they didn't over-promise. I mean, they were very, it works most of the time. It may not work for everybody, but and what some of the risks were, which seemed pretty minimal as well. And then I set up an appointment to go down and do the stem cell treatment. Walking into their offices was kind of like, everybody looked healthy and happy, and it was just, so it was like Disneyland for medical patients, I guess, in some ways. But anyway, it was very pleasant. The people were very helpful, and the process was very simple to go through. Yeah, within 2 weeks, I was in my chair, and my wife said, "Did you see what you just did?" And I go, whoa, you just moved your left leg. And I go, no, I didn't. And she goes, yes, you did. You just lifted up the left leg. And I was able to suddenly move this leg in a way that I hadn't been able to do in 6 years. And it was strange. So, and then over time, sort of what I decided to do was get proactive about it. I said, you know what, if I can do this, I can start to walk again. So I signed up for physical therapy and started physical therapy within about 2 months after treatment. And then the results, or the healing, or the feeling better, continued to get greater over a 6-month period. And I'd say pretty much within the 6th to 7th month period was sort of the epigee of feeling great and just feeling normal again, just totally feeling normal again. It's the hardest thing to explain to people, and people with any ailment can tell you that there are things that happen within your body and your mind that are just hard to explain or for other people to be referenced to. But the best way I can describe it is if you're sitting in a boat in a lake full of fog, and then suddenly like that, the fog lifts. That's what it was like for me. It's like I lost pain, I regained sensitivity, the ability to feel things. If I was standing on carpet prior to Stemedix, I couldn't tell the difference if it was carpet or hardwood floor. Post Stemedix, 6 or 7 months later, I could tell you the difference between the floor, the surface, the temperature of the surface. So just regaining all the sensitivities in my extremities was just off the charts great. Prior to Stemedix with MS, I could easily spend 8 to 10 hours a day in bed in the daytime, and I was never that kind of person. I was always going. So it was just the ability to get up in the morning. I get up, I'm still not an early bird, I'm kind of a night owl, but I get up at between 7:30 and 8:30 in the morning every day now, and I don't go to bed till 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. So I just feeling full of energy. I'm building things, projects around the house, just being alive again. I just built a raised garden and a water feature in our backyard, and I did that with with 800 pounds of landscape timber and my chop saw in the garage and all my tools. I love working with tools. I got to use all my tools, and engineering and building it and designing it, and did it primarily almost all by myself. I had my son help me with moving a few things down, but I hauled 800 pounds of lumber around the garage and cut it and chopped it and assembled it, and it feels great to just be participating in the household again and contributing in ways other than this happy smile. Work. That's another thing. I mean, work-wise, I've been able to re-engage or even feel the desire to re-engage and be productive again on a work basis. So I've taken up aerial photography and kind of re-energized my web design business and just again feel alive and ready to make things happen. My son is glad to see me stand up with the walker, and his first comments to me was, "Wow, you are." My son's pretty tall. He's 16, but he's tall like Dad, but not as tall as Dad. And I got a chance to remind him of that, standing up. And for my wife, I think it's been a relief that she can travel, and she's been able to expand her career and her goals because she doesn't have to be a caregiver. Basically, she's no longer has to be a caregiver. And I think that makes her feel great too. And our ability to travel together has been great. So I think she enjoys that too. The risks are minimal, and that for me, it's been life-changing, if not, just shy of a cure. I have a measurable reference point because of the study I was in with Lemtrada, with the USF. I still go back every 6 months and I get a full MRI done. I get a full neurological workup. The greatest thing that happened from that perspective is about 4 months after I did the stem cell treatment, I went to USF for one of these 6-month checkups, and the doctor there, I moved my leg, and there's an exercise where you hold the leg up and he tries to push it down, and with my left leg, it didn't. You could do it with your finger, with a feather, and I was able to not only hold it up but resist. And his exact quote was, "Wow." And then we proceeded with the rest of the exam, and they have the extended disability scoring, which for me was in the past was in around the 5 mark, and the lower the number the better, and I scored a 2, which is just unheard of. And then part of that is also walking 60 feet with a walker, which I wasn't able to do in prior attempts, and this time I was able to go back and forth, back and forth. Here's the thing, I don't take any disease-modifying drugs today. I don't take any painkillers today. I don't take Advil, I don't have to, I take vitamins, and that's it. And that alone is so worth it. Because of Stemedix, I'm looking forward to re-engaging in life and to move forward with my goals, both career and personal, and travel and life, and just live life to the fullest again.